What do low blood sugar, snacking, and weight loss have in common? Because diabetes is so common, we tend to focus only on high blood sugar these days, but low blood sugar is just as important and can actually lead us to diabetes. My name is Karen Kennedy, and I'm a functional nutritionist specializing in using continuous glucose monitors to help people optimize their blood sugar and their metabolic health. So many of the people I work with are real snackers. In fact, they often snack their way through their day with frequent small meals and end up overweight, even though they might not overeat on calories. And I can't tell you how frustrating this is to them. And what's more, they just can't stop snacking no matter what they do, and they really beat themselves up about it. But what I'm going to explain is why it's actually nearly impossible for them to stop snacking like this unless you get to the root cause of it, which is often low blood sugar. So in my last video on hypoglycemia symptoms, I talked about the symptoms of hypoglycemia, and today I want to talk about the consequences of it as it relates to snacking and weight gain. So I want to review first what I mean about hypoglycemia and what it looks like. So first of all, I want to show you what a healthy blood sugar curve looks like using continuous glucose monitor data. So what you can see here is this gray box is what I call the Goldilocks zone, and that's where we want blood sugar to stay most of the time. So a healthy, stable baseline blood sugar just kind of creeps along the bottom between 70 and 95 milligrams per deciliter until you eat. And when you eat, you want just a small to moderate shift in blood sugar. It goes up a little, but not out of the Goldilocks zone, and then comes back to this nice baseline between 70 and 95 milligrams per deciliter. So a nice little gentle hill, not a spike, comes back down to baseline. That's a healthy blood sugar curve. Now contrast this to what we call a subclinical hypoglycemia or a hangry curve. And we showed this in the last video where you still start off with this nice even baseline. But when you eat a meal that might be a high glycemic meal, meaning something that really spikes your blood sugar, you can see the blood sugar go way out of that Goldilocks zone and then come crashing down and go a little below that Goldilocks zone. This is that hangry, and remember, hangry is not normal. It is not healthy. It indicates you have a problem with your blood sugar and could be tracking towards type 2 diabetes. Now, here's where this gets interesting. We talk about hypoglycemia and the symptoms of it, and we see that some of the symptoms have to do with this irritability, confusion, rapid heartbeat. And remember, we're not talking about the severe hypoglycemia that causes a loss of consciousness. We're talking about the sort of a subclinical hypoglycemia. And you might not even be conscious of any of these feelings, but you do feel a certain craving. And what's interesting is the way our body deals with low blood sugar is very important to understand because hypoglycemia is dangerous. So when your body detects that you're starting to get low, you're getting lower rapidly, and you might get a little bit low below that 70 milligrams per deciliter mark, you have multiple redundant mechanisms to get your blood sugar back up and back up quickly at almost any cost. So a couple of different ways it does this is, your pancreas will secrete glucagon, which is a hormone that tells your liver to release more glucose into the bloodstream to get your blood sugar back up. Your adrenal gland will secrete adrenaline, which is your fight or flight hormone, which leads to that hangriness, the irritability, and the rapid heartbeat. But you're also hardwired to crave a food or drink or other that will get your blood sugar up quickly, right? It's a craving, and you are hardwired for survival. So this isn't something you can just willpower yourself out of. Your body needs to survive. And these cravings, your body isn't going to crave a proper meal. That is not what it's going to crave. A proper meal does not get your blood sugar up instantaneously. What you're going to crave is an iced mocha with a scone at the coffee shop across the street, a soda, a candy bar, a bowl of cereal, toast and tea. Recognize this? These little tiny snacks that aren't really meals, but they're high in simple carbohydrates that get your blood sugar back up quickly, right? But the problem with eating these, the problem with your body's solution is that, yeah, it keeps you from going unconscious, but it will tend to cause the exact same situation in another hour or so, with your blood sugar spiking again and coming crashing down again. And this leads to this yo-yo blood sugar all day long of high and low and high and low. The result being a lot of snacky, carby meals that cause high insulin levels and excessively high insulin, because we know when your blood sugar goes high, so does insulin, because that hormone insulin is what gets your glucose level into the cells. When you have frequent high blood sugar levels, it leads to high insulin levels and insulin resistance. Insulin resistance. So I don't know if you've heard of insulin resistance or high insulin levels, but this is what leads to prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. And insulin resistance or high insulin leads to a few other downstream effects. When you have chronically high insulin levels because of that yo-yo blood sugar, it tells the body to store energy. Yeah, when your insulin level is high, all you do is store energy. It's like a toggle switch. You can't burn fat. You can't utilize that stored energy for fuel to fuel your body. So you're in this kind of low energy state where you're just store. And insulin likes to tell your body to store it around the organs, around the viscera, around the liver. So you end up with more VAT, or visceral adipose tissue, or belly fat. It can also lead to high blood pressure. It can lead to elevated triglycerides. It causes more inflammation because that VAT, that fat, actually secretes inflammatory cytokines. So you have more pain, you get brain fog, fatty liver, and an increased risk of atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease, heart attacks, stroke, even dementia and cancer. So this is a big deal. And all because, you have kind of a spiked blood sugar and a little hypoglycemia, making you need a snack. But because that happens meal after meal, snack after snack, day after day, year after year, it accumulates into something like this. So what do you do about it? Step to preventing this whole thing is to learn how to prevent the high blood sugar that started this whole mess. So when you go back to that hangry blood sugar curve, what kicked this off was that high glycemic meal. And the way we learn how to do this is we use a continuous glucose monitor. Yeah, we can also look at meals, and it's not impossible to figure out, oh yeah, maybe don't have toast and tea for lunch. Maybe have some protein or have a balanced meal. But I find for people, it is very helpful to monitor their blood sugar for maybe 2, maybe 4 weeks, so they can see for themselves what meals, what drinks, what activities, what's causing their blood sugar to do this yo-yo thing, and then see what actually helps it. And just like, we gradually got dysregulated blood sugar after a series of high snacky days year after year, now we can start putting together controlled blood sugar days, meal after meal, day after day, year after year. And that starts to bring blood sugar down, bring insulin down. And then, of course, we reduce that visceral adipose tissue, lose some of that belly fat. This is how you do it. This is how you do it. So we stop having these blood sugar spikes by being aware of what causes them and then making better food choices. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about how to use a continuous glucose monitor, I'll provide a link in the description. You can get my free download on how to use a continuous glucose monitor. If you're interested, we do programs about every other month where we get people hooked up with glucose monitors and help them find a personalized plan to tighten up their blood sugar. And if you like this content, please hit subscribe.